God and me and God.
What?
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Unity Vancouver this morning. Beautiful morning. My name is Darlene Cooper, and accompanying me and singing with me is my husband, Mr. Bill Sample, on piano this morning. We're going to do a couple of preludes for you at the beginning, and especially the second one we want you to sing along with. So you'll all know that one. Here we go. Count your blessings when you're down. See what the good Lord has done. Count your blessings. Name them one by one. Open your eyes and look all around. You'll find a blessing waiting to be found. Find a blessing waiting to be found. Find a blessing waiting to be found. Maybe it's a look, maybe it's a smile, or seeing a friend you haven't seen for a while. It may be something big or it may be something small. The fragrance in the air after the rain, the sparkle of the sun on your window pane, a bird in flight or the sound of a train. Find a blessing each day. Share a blessing with someone today. Send some love and kindness their way. Share a blessing with someone today. Share a blessing to someone today. Maybe it's a look, maybe it's a smile, or taking time to sit with a friend for a while. It may be something big or it may be something small. Letting someone know that they're not alone. Cheering them on when their strength is gone, or holding their hand when they've lost someone. Be a blessing today. Be a blessing to someone in need. Open your heart and do a good deed. Be a blessing to someone in need. Be a blessing to someone in need. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings. Find a blessing, just look all around. Find a blessing and share a blessing with someone today. Share a blessing. Be a blessing to someone in need. Be a blessing. Count your blessings. Name them one by one. Thank you. All right, we want you to join in with this one. And if you feel like standing and clapping, you can do that too. This little light of mine I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, yes, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, well, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Okay, here we go. And this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Share a little kindness all over the world. Well, I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna share a little kindness all around the world. I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna share a little kindness all over the world. I'm gonna let it shine. 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 Here we go. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Spread a little love around my neighborhood. I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna spread a little love around my neighborhood. I'm gonna let it shine. Yeah, I'm gonna spread a little love around my neighborhood. Gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. All right, sing it out now. Here we go. This little light. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. One more time. This little light of mine. Here we go. Oh, oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, well, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Yeah.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm your host, Shirley Thompson, and we want to welcome you to Unity Spiritual Center, Vancouver's home for progressive spiritual development and practice. We warmly welcome all people, all faiths, and all lifestyles, and thank you for joining us on this beautiful day. And now, if you would, let's all stand for singing of our group song, and don't be afraid to belt it out so everyone can hear you on YouTube.
Follow your heart, let your love lead through the darkness, back to the place you once knew. I believe, I believe, I believe in you. Follow your dreams, be yourself an angel of kindness. There's nothing that you cannot do. I believe, I believe, I believe in you. Strive for that goal. Don't let fear keep you from seeking the joy that fulfillment can give. I believe, I believe, I believe in you. You will know bliss when you reach within and discover the life that God meant you to live. I believe, I believe, I believe in you. Follow your heart, let your love lead through the darkness, back to a place you once knew. I believe, I believe, I believe in you. Follow your dreams, be yourself an angel of kindness. There's nothing that you cannot do. I believe, I believe, I believe in you. Yes, I believe, I believe, I believe in you.
And now, with our opening intention, Board Member Marion Dick.
Thank you, Shirley. Now let's take a moment and close our eyes and take a couple of deep breaths, releasing all the activity of the morning and the week gone by. Taking another breath, we go within, into that place where we connect with our higher power and invite that pure presence to walk before us and help us to remember who we truly are. Today's daily word is simplicity. I pause and appreciate life's simplest blessings and do so with gratitude. Gratitude for that unexpected smile someone gave me as that brightened my day, for the sunrise, for friends and family that are so dear to our hearts. Gratitude for our community, here in person and online. For our musicians and all the wonderful Unity musicians. For Reverend Carrie Hunter and her message for us this morning. Gratitude that we are always connected with the divine, even when we feel alone. I'm grateful for my Course in Miracles lessons today, which are, I rest in God, and I am as God created me. They remind me that I get to choose to rest, to be in that place of peace, and to allow divine intelligence to guide me to live from the stillness within, in complete trust and quiet certainty. And so we open our hearts and truly hear the message that is here for each of us this morning, knowing all is well, and we are loved, we are blessed, and we are guided, and so it is. Amen.
And now, please stand and join us in singing the New English translation of the Aramaic version of the Lord's Prayer.
Holy Spirit, creator and life of all, you create a space inside us and fill it with your presence. Our oneness now prevails. Your one desire flows through ours as energy fills all forms. You give us this day our physical and spiritual nourishment. You untangle the knots of error that bind us as we also release others. We don't let appearances make us forgetful of the source. We're born free to act from our highest nature. From your presence comes the glorious harmony of life. Now these words are fertile ground from which our future grows. Amen.
Today, our guest speaker is someone many of us already know and love, Reverend Carrie Hunter. Reverend Carrie has been a New Thought minister for 19 years and a spiritual practitioner for 26 years. She is presently the spiritual director of the Center for Spiritual Living in Victoria, where she has served as senior minister the past 8 years. Carrie is one of us. She has spent many years in business and all that entails. Her careers prior to ministry include journalism, television writer, producer, consultant to the United Nations and to the Vatican, and she is the founder of the Banff World Media Festival, which she managed for 17 years. Today, ministry and spiritual teachings are her passions. Please join me in giving a warm Unity of Vancouver welcome to Reverend Carrie Hunter.
Oh, thank you, and welcome everyone. It's so nice to see you and to reunite with people I haven't seen for a long, long time. I can't remember how long it's been since I've been here. I think it's probably about 10 years. And I walked in and I thought, wow, there's a garden growing on either side of the stage. And everything looks so beautiful. And looking at your beautiful smiling faces is just wonderful. So I'm very happy to see you here today and to be with you and to visit with all of you, but some of you that I haven't seen for a long time and who are old friends of mine. So I just invite you now as we go into meditation to just go into a sacred space inside your heart center and just take a few nice deep breaths, just naturally, easily, allowing each breath to go deeper and deeper and deeper and relaxing you more and more and more. And allow your heart center to just open up and feel the presence, the holy presence within. And become aware of your breath. Just easily and gently aware of your breath. And recognize that there are thoughts that want to drift by. And as you do, just allow them to keep on going. Don't force anything. And observe your body. Are you comfortable? Is there any place in your body where you feel any pain or discomfort? And if there is, imagine a glorious golden light pouring through your body. Who is it who is observing your body? Outside yourself, inside yourself. Who is it? And of course, we know it is you as spirit, observing everything from your heart. And in this sacred space, wherever you're sitting, allow yourself to just dissolve into the seat. Just feeling the presence. And imagine that you're walking through a beautiful garden and you hear the birds singing, you experience the fragrance of flowers, butterflies flitting around. And you see a gate at the end of the garden, and you walk toward that gate. In the near distance is a sandy beach, beautiful ocean view. And you sit for a moment on a bench that is near the gate. And as you do, you're approached by a spiritual being, someone very familiar, and yet you're not quite certain who it is. But you have known this being since you were born. And she hands you a golden envelope. And she tells you that everything in that envelope represents all your fears, all your challenges, all your perceived failures, everything in your life that you want to get rid of, so that you can grow with spirit and confidence in who you really are. And you take the envelope and hold it, and she then beckons you to follow her. And you go through the gate, and there's a narrow path along a steep rock wall. That's to your right, and to your left, of course, is the beach with children playing, people sunbathing. You can see sailboats off in the distance on the water. It's a perfectly peaceful, beautiful day. And so you follow this spiritual being along this rock wall. And she beckons you to stop and lean against it for a moment and drink in the view. And you notice how beautiful, how peaceful everything is. And then you feel something behind you starting to move, and you look behind you, and there is a door that opens up into a huge cave. And she beckons you to go inside. And the walls are made of green crystals, and the floor is polished green crystals. And there's a stairway that is made of the most beautiful, beautiful red, polished crystals. And she beckons you to go up the stairs. And you go up with such ease and expectancy, hope in your heart for a wonderful experience. And as you get to the top of the stairs, you see that there is this dazzling white light. It's as if the stars themselves have filled that room with light. And there's a beautiful alabaster seat, and you seat yourself. And as you look forward, there's an altar with a beautiful bowl with an eternal flame. And the spiritual being suggests that you go and burn the golden envelope in the flame. And so you approach the eternal flame in wonder. Eternal God in your heart, in your mind. And you touch the end of the envelope to the flame. And then you just gently put it down in the flame and allow it to burn all the way through until even the ashes are dissolved into the fire. And then you turn and you go back to where you were sitting, and the spiritual being offers you another golden envelope. And she said, I have been with you since before you were born. And inside this envelope are all your hopes, all your dreams, everything you vision for a perfect life. And from this moment forward, you carry that vision within you, never letting go, never sliding back into fear, into anxiety, into discomfort of any kind. You have released all those memories, the unpleasant ones, and instead you just hold on to the beautiful ones that are in the envelope. And all of your hopes for the future, knowing that you are guided from this moment forward to manifest everything beautiful in your lives. You're so peaceful, so calm. You're in a place you could stay forever. But the spiritual being beckons you again to follow her down the stairs, the ruby red stairs, onto the beautiful green floor in the green crystal cave. And you drink it all in, and she tells you that you're going to go back to where you were, but you can come back to this place anytime you wish. You can climb those stairs anytime you wish. You can release, you can dream, you can hold the image of everything you wish for in your life in that space and know that it is materializing because you are so conscious of the love of God, of the power of God, of your own power. And she says you simply walk along that path and lean against the wall, and you will feel the cave door open. And the two of you walk out together, and the door closes. And you walk along the beach and into the yard, into the garden. And you are in awe of all the beauty and wonder around you, and of the power, the beauty in your heart that you're feeling, the confidence, the absolute knowing that you are one with Spirit, and that everything around you is part of that, just as you are. And so, where you're sitting, just again, take a few deep breaths. And feel yourself coming back into this room, refreshed, renewed, feeling the Holy Presence within, and knowing it is with you always. You can trust it. And you can trust the beloved God always to be with you, in this moment now and forevermore. And so it is.
It's not that unusual when everything is beautiful. It's just another ordinary miracle today. The sky knows when it's time to snow. Don't need to teach a seed to grow. It's just another ordinary miracle today. Life is like a gift, they say, wrapped up for you every day. Open up and find a way to give some of your own. Isn't it remarkable? Like every time a raindrop falls, it's just another ordinary miracle today. Birds in winter have their fling, but always make it home by spring. It's just another ordinary miracle today. When you wake up every day, please don't throw your dreams away. Hold them close to your heart, 'cause we are all a part of the ordinary miracle. Do you want to see a miracle? It seems so exceptional that things just work out after all. It's just another ordinary miracle today. The sun comes up and shines so bright and disappears again at night. It's just another ordinary miracle today. It's just another ordinary miracle today. You're just another ordinary miracle today.
Thank you so much, Darlene and Bill. And may you all be blessed with ordinary miracles. I know that you are. So, I want some energy back from you. So please say after me, something wonderful is happening. Good. I can feel it in my bones. I know it. I believe it. It's in my heart. It's in my mind. It's everywhere around me. It is the power within me. And it is building this church. And it is growing it into a beacon of light in the world. Know it. Believe it. You don't. Thank you. Wonderful, powerful you. That's the topic of my talk today. Wonderful, powerful you. Do you have any idea how powerful you are? I was thinking of a silly story as I was driving here this morning. There was a group of scientists, and they met regularly, and they were having their regular meeting and talking about the future, talking about everything that they know, saying that they really know everything and they know how to create everything. And so they decided that they didn't need to have God anymore. It was time for him to retire because, he'd been working really hard for who knows how long, billion years, couple of billion years, and he deserved some time off. So they chose one of the scientists to go and meet with God. So the scientist phoned God and said that he wanted to have tea. And God said, sure, come along. And they set a date and a time. And the scientist went along, and he and God sat down, and they had some angel water tea from a fine tea shop that was near where the scientist lived. And of course, they had gluten-free cookies. What else would they have? Had to have gluten-free cookies. And they talked, and the scientists told God that how much they loved and respected him, but they really didn't need him anymore. And it was time for him to maybe, take up some other hobbies, to go out and play golf. That probably Tiger Woods would be up for a game with him, or he could call on some of his spiritual friends to come along, his spiritual entourage. Or he might want to learn to play pickleball. He might want to stop in at Unity a few times on Sundays and give the talk on Sundays. And God sat there stroking his beard, looking at the scientist. And he said, well, I'm willing to give it a try, but first we have to have a competition. He said, if you can do what I have done or what I do, then I will agree to retire. And so the scientist said, well, what is it you want? And he said, well, in the Bible it says that Adam created man out of dust, simple dust. And the scientist said, yes, I'm aware of that. And he said, well, I want you to show me that you can create man out of dust. And the scientist said, oh. And he went over and he reached down and he picked up some soil in his hands, and God said, get your own dirt. And I love that, because to me, metaphysically, it means that we step aside from God. As my teacher, Reverend Terry Shea, who's here today, used to say when he was teaching, we step aside from God. God doesn't step aside from us. And God doesn't step aside from us. God is always with us, in us, as us, working through us, and we can count on it. But we forget. We start to think that we can just do everything ourselves. We forget that we are spirit having a human experience. Some of us are still in some way connected to that old God, that old man with the long white beard, as Terry used to say, wearing a pink nightgown and sitting on a cloud, and judging us. and he's going to punish us if we are not good. And he will reward us if we are. Sort of sounds like Santa Claus. You know, you better watch out, you better... Anyway, you know the song. So God is never anywhere away from us. But what is this God? Or who is this God? I call God it. To me, God is not he. God is not she. Well, God is everything. And so I call it it. But you can call it whatever you want. You can call it God, you can call it Spirit, you can call it the universe, you can call it George. It doesn't matter what you call it. It knows that you are calling to communicate with it. And it is everywhere in everything. And it is very democratic. Jesus, Mother Teresa, did not have any more of it than each one of you has. We all have equal amounts of it. We are all born filled with God's Spirit. The Spirit that we were before we came into this world. The Spirit that we will be when we leave this world. You know, we get into conversations about life after death, and I remember Ernest Holmes, the amazing teacher, being asked if he believed in life after death, and he said, absolutely not. And people were stunned. You know, I mean, this enormously spiritual man, and he said, I don't believe in death. And I thought, isn't that just a wonderful thing to remember? You don't believe in death. Because who you really are, the essential you, goes on forever and ever. And we know, we should know by now, that we are spirit having a human experience. You know, not separate in any way. We can never separate ourselves from God because God is everywhere. God is everything. And as we get into the quantum field and into quantum physics, we begin to understand how that all works. And I remember the first time that I really had an understanding of this, and I was 100 years younger than I am now. Anyway, I was listening to some scientists being interviewed on the radio, and one of them was, you know, they were explaining how the universe was formed and how the earth was formed. And the person who was doing the interview asked them, well, you know, how did that happen? I mean, it didn't just happen. Like, what made that happen? And one of the scientists said, well, we don't really know, but what we do know is that everything is created from some kind of intelligence. And we don't understand that intelligence. And I can remember sitting there, I was probably about 25, and I thought, that's it. That's God. I mean, I was seeking a God I could understand. And I mean, I always went to church. I didn't think that this God that I was told was up in the sky had any time for me. I knew that he must be very busy. There were wars, there were people in trouble everywhere. How could he, even as a little girl, I felt like this, how could he possibly have time for me? And what a beautiful revelation it was when I came into New Thought teaching. And it was a God I could believe in, a God I could trust, a God I had faith in, one we can all have faith in, and know that it isn't out there. Well, it is out there, it's everywhere. But there's no place where I begin or you begin and God leaves off. And there's no place where any of us is separate from one another, which is where the saying comes from that we're all one. We have to be one because we are all the same spirit, the same energy, the same intelligence, individualized as ourselves. You know, look at the person next to you and you're looking at another part of God. And it's such an exciting thing to think about. And so when we're conscious, fully conscious of this power, this being that is within us, miracles happen. Ordinary miracles happen. And we can count on it. But the thing is that a lot of the time we're just not there. We're caught up in our struggles. We're caught up in our pain. It's like, woe is me. I've got Velcro on my forehead, and my hand is stuck up there as I'm remembering all of the terrible things that have happened to me in my life, what other people did to me. And of course, other people didn't do it to me at all. But we get into that place. And so we stop remembering who we are, if we ever did remember. And we kind of slip away from God. And I was thinking of a story that I could share that would demonstrate this. And it's the story of Buckminster Fuller, whom I know everybody's heard of, arguably the greatest mind that ever lived. And he was 32 years old, standing on the shores of Lake Michigan. And his daughter, his 4-year-old daughter, had died a few months before. His wife was pregnant with another child. He had no money, no resources. He had nowhere to go for work. He was worried that his wife and new baby would starve, wouldn't have a place to live. And so he decided that if he took his own life, that his wife's parents would look after her and their new baby. And he stood there for a long time, and he was looking down into the water and getting ready to just go way out into the deepness and just allow himself to drown. And as he was standing there, he heard a voice in his head. And the voice said, "The universe needs you." And he stood there in shock. It was like, where was this coming from? The voice was so powerful. And as he was looking down into the water, with his feet almost touching the water at the shore, he saw these pebbles in the formation of a geodesic dome. And he knew that he was going to live and that he was going to thrive, and so would his family. And so he became the most amazing inventor. When he died, he held 27 patents. He'd written 27 books. He had 500 honorary degrees from universities around the world. He had been booted out of Harvard as a young man, and he was given an honorary doctorate at Harvard. He reinvented the way construction was done. He built the geodesic dome, and that is now used in spacecraft or in outer space, because the geodesic dome is so light and so strong that it's a wonderful platform to have in space, and it's been used now for a number of years. He did so many amazing things and never looked back, but always knew that the voice in his head was what he called God. And so he did all of these remarkable things. And what we need to remember is that these things are in us too. We are called to remember you are the power.
You are the sweetest thing to me. All my life I will try to write down the song of you. Well, you know, it's there in your eyes. The stars up above, that's your song in the sky. You are the sweetest thing to me. Every bird, every bell is singing the song that you are the light shining forevermore. You're so beautiful. Shine on, my sweet you. You are the light, shine on forevermore. I've said it 1,000 times. Oh, you are the light, shine on forevermore. I've said it 1,000 times. Yes, you are the light, shine on forevermore. You're so beautiful. Shine on, my sweet you.
Oh, shine on, shine on. Thank you. Thank you both so much. It was beautiful. So, what is the voice in your head? You know, the universe needs you. What is it telling you to do? What is it suggesting? Are you being gently nudged towards something, or is it something that you have to run toward because it is so loud in your head that you have to do that? I had an email a few days ago from a minister named Dr. Barbara Ledger. And we're on a minister's listserv where we exchange emails with everybody every day. And Barbara sent me an email. She was hugely successful. And then she thought her work was done. She had trained teachers. She had other people in charge of administration. It was a magnificent thing. And she went back to California. She's a Canadian, but she was living in California. And she emailed me the other day and said, I'm back in the Ukraine. When the war began, she was called to go back to the Ukraine, into the fighting, into the bombing. And I thought, that's the place where so many people would say, thank God I went home to California, but not Barbara. And so she went back and she decided she was going to found a different kind of work, and it was going to be online instead of in buildings. And when she wrote me, her sentences were all run on and things weren't making sense, and I thought, she is stressed. So I got in touch with her right away, and I said, I'm going to rewrite your email because I'm not sure if I understand what you're saying, and then get back to me. And she got back to me a few hours later, and she said, oh, thank you. She said, that's what I needed to say. And she said, you got it right. And she said, all of a sudden, my fear has lifted. And her fear was, and she said she was so embarrassed to say this, she said, for the first time, I couldn't pay my teachers. I have no money to pay my teachers. I didn't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And I said, well, how could you possibly be embarrassed? You have gone back to a country that is at war. You know, there are bombs going off all around you. How could you possibly be embarrassed about anything? Look at how brave you are. And she said, well, God told me I had to be here. And I said, that is obvious. And she said, what I was kind of thinking, and I need to let me know if you think it would be okay. I'm thinking of phoning 7 churches a week in our teaching and asking the minister if the basket can be distributed twice, once for the Ukraine. Either that or those who have money in a tithing fund to send us a tithe. And I said, I think that's brilliant. And I gave her the names of the ministers that immediately came to mind. And she said, yeah, they're the same ones that are on my list, and I'm going to call them this week. And I said, well, I know that our center will help as well. And I said, I will help by spreading the word to some of the really big centers around and those that have considerable wealth. But I thought, imagine that. Oh, and she said that they are supporting some very young men who are part of the National Guard. And they just had woolen toques during the winter, and she bought them hard hats to wear to protect them. And she said that the leader of that group is a Science of Mind practitioner that she trained a number of years ago. And so they are carrying out into the battlefields the New Thought message, the power that each of them is, and how everyone can trust that in their own hearts, in their own minds. I was just sitting there in tears. I thought, only does that kind of courage come from God. It's not something that we would just sit around one day and say, oh, their bombing is going on in the Ukraine, I guess I'd better get over there and do something. We have to be impassioned to do things like that. And to be impassioned, we need to believe. We need to know beyond any measure the truth of who we are. That Spirit lives within us. Trust it, know it. Ask what is yours to do. And when you're asking what is yours to do, go into the silence. You don't have time to meditate, you don't have time to pray. I don't. Well, that's a myth. If I don't meditate and pray first thing in the morning, the rest of my day it just doesn't go well at all. And it's so easy to say, oh, but I have to be at a meeting at such and such a time. I'll do it later. Doing it later doesn't work. Sitting in the silence is the most powerful thing we can do, because in the silence, there are so many answers. We get our monkey minds out of the way, and we listen, and Spirit comes through, and we know what it is that is ours to do that day. And what I learned to do many years ago, if I was going to a business meeting, and that it could be a kind of contentious meeting, I would sit in my car for 10 minutes before I went in, and I would just call in the golden light in my heart center and feel it expand up through my neck and throat and, through my head and my shoulders, my arms, all through my body. And I would just sit there feeling this golden light until I felt this perfect peace in my heart. And I would then go into the meeting, and there wouldn't be any dissension at all. And what I also learned that surprised me down the line, when I did go into a meeting one day and I hadn't done that exercise, and there was a problem with people at the table, and I sat there with my eyes open and did that exercise and surrounded the board table with light and every person in it. And all of a sudden, everything just came into order again. I didn't have to say, go outside and pray to Jesus. Go outside and ask Jesus to resolve this problem. It's up to us, but not to do it alone. I was always somebody who had to do it, had to jump in and do it. And I remember one day being in Starbucks on Granville and Broadway. And I sat down, and I was waiting for a friend, and there was a man who came in, a homeless man. He was coughing terribly, and he had taken a coffee cup off a table out front, outside, and I guess he thought that was his entrance inside. And he sat down, and he coughed the deepest coughs. And I thought, I have to get that man to a hospital. He has pneumonia. And I was starting to and I thought, no, You don't have to do anything. You don't have to take him anywhere. What you have to do is pray. It's a novelty, I know. Why pray when you can worry? So I sat there and I just closed my eyes and I prayed. And I prayed that he would have comfort in his lungs. And I prayed that he would receive the help that he needed. And then I opened my eyes. He'd stopped coughing. I opened my eyes and I started working on my talk for the next Sunday while I was waiting for my friend. And my talk was called The Three Faces of God. And as I sat there, there was this beautiful African-American woman walked in, dressed in a lovely suit and heels and hair perfectly coiffed and makeup. And she didn't look at the place she'd get the coffee. She went directly to the homeless man who was sitting there. And she went up to him and she said, "Are you hungry? May I buy you some food?" And he said, "No, I'm not hungry." And she said, "Then here's some money. When you're hungry, I want you to buy something to eat." Well, my jaw dropped. She went off and got her coffee and walked out with it. A few minutes later, I noticed a man in a suit, very well dressed, walking from table to table outside, asking people something. And I thought, well, he must have lost the keys to his car or something and needs money for cab fare. And I watched him intently, and then he came inside. He didn't look around. He went directly to the homeless man and gave him a cigarette. I mean, the last thing I would think of would be to pray for a cigarette for somebody. But I was praying that this man's needs be met. And then the young man went over and got his coffee, joined a friend, and they sat and talked. And the homeless man was so excited, he got up and he went outside. He went from table to table, and then it was obvious he was looking for a light for his cigarette. He got the light, and you could just see this look on his face. It was like heaven. And then I went back to, I wonder if I should take him to the hospital. And I got up to go out, and then he disappeared. He just totally disappeared like that. There was no sign of him. And I sat there, and I was just, choked up. And I thought I wanted to write about the three faces of God that day. And there they were, the homeless man, the African-American woman, and the young man who gave him a cigarette. I didn't have to do anything. He was taken care of. If we can only remember this, if I can only remember this, when there's something confronting me that I feel needs to be done, that there's something so much greater than I am that is going to take care of it when I speak my word. When I see this miracle, ordinary miracle, happening. And each one of you has that power within. The question is, are you using it? Are you listening, asking the universe what it wants you to do? The power is there to do it. Each one of you is wonderful. Powerful. And the ordinary miracles are yours when you stay conscious of who you are. And so it is. Bless you.
Thank you, Reverend Carrie. And if you're watching online, please come out and join us next Sunday in person. We'd love to meet you and welcome you to a place where we're all just learning to love. In the famous words of the poet Mark Nepo, we're more together than alone. So if you can, come out and help us take our personal energy higher. Friends, we are entirely supported by your donations. We do not receive any funding from any central head office. It's you who makes what we do possible. So please donate generously today. And you know your giving is an investment that will strengthen this spiritual community and speed the rising of global consciousness. Thank you for your kind support, which is really the energy of love in action. So now let's say our offering affirmation all together now. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And if you're here in person, please drop off your donations with the ushers as you exit the sanctuary. And to donate online, simply click on the donate link in your chat window, which will allow you to give via all major credit cards. And you can also give via e-transfer, which can be addressed to donations@unityofvancouver.org. And once again, if you're on Zoom or YouTube, you'll find a donate link in your chat window. And now, while we're making our donations, let's enjoy a short instrumental. Thank you, Bill. And just so you know, that song that Darlene sang called You was written by Bill. This coming Saturday, May 6th, why not check out our Spiritual Wisdom Circles? Join us from the comfort of your own home on Zoom from 9 to 10 a.m. for spiritual discussion with like-minded people. Our Course in Miracles study groups are also a great way to shift the mindset that is creating your reality. Study groups meet on Tuesdays downstairs from 12:30 to 2:30, and on Thursday nights on Zoom from 7 to 9. After the service today, we'll be hosting an information session to update you on the progress of our redevelopment project. So please join us downstairs at 12:40 to find out what's going on with our redevelopment. Friends, you know, at Unity we believe in the light. Well, on Friday, May 5th, this room is going to be lit up like you may have never seen before as we manifest Classic Rock Night. Prepare to relive so many of your favorite tunes, flawlessly delivered by Tom Arnson's incredible rock band, The Hits. Bring your friends and mark your calendars because it's going to be a night to remember, and songs you grooved on but haven't heard in a very long time. So mark your calendars and get here early to get a good seat. Once again, Friday, May the 5th at 7:30. I wouldn't miss it for the world. I want to see you all there. Next week, Fortunately or unfortunately, the BMO Marathon is happening, and there will be some road closures. But don't worry, we'll be emailing you traffic tips out this week so you'll know the right roads to take. So it could be a challenge, so let's be ready for that. Today's affirmative prayer chaplains are River Roman, Luciana Valvi, and me, Shirley Thompson, and on Zoom, Lori Malenka. To have a confidential prayer with one of our chaplains, simply come up to the front after all the music is finished, and the prayer over here, and the prayer chaplains will love to support you in prayer. And if you're watching on YouTube or Zoom, I'll show you how you too can participate in just a few minutes. So please join us downstairs after the service for coffee, tea, and cookies. And now, as we bring this part of our service to a close, let's say our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it be